All right, everyone. Happy Monday. We are live. Kevin and I. What's up, man?
What's going on? It sounded like you were playing the guitar there for a second when you started the I was like, all right, that's a new intro for us.
You know what's funny is I was going back to look at some of the past lives that I had done on my own, and every single one of them I would open with "Welcome, welcome, welcome," and I didn't know until was rewatching some of them. I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize I was saying that same corny phrase every one."
I've never heard you say that like in any other context. So yeah, I guess
And
that
I'm
was
going to do
just
my best not to. All right. Well, this is what we're going to cover. Let me share my screen. And boom. Let's do window. Let's do that. All right, sweet. So today in this newsletter, we're going to cover a rare resale making $1 million a year in sales. And this is actually technically not a franchise, which is interesting. So excited to hear that broken down. We're going to cover an outdoor franchise that shows their top performing franchisee doing $8.5 million in sales in their FDD, which is pretty cool. Obviously, look, the top franchisee, I get it. You may not be that. You probably won't be that, but we're going to cover the average numbers as well, to be fair. We're going to go over a client and one of the biggest benefits they got from working with us, as well as the latest episode of the Franchise Empire Show, which was someone who was on Undercover Boss. So as we dive in, if you are watching live, drop us a comment. Let us know what city or state you are tuning in from. And if you're watching the replay, let us know city and state and that you're watching the replay. And if you want to get this in your inbox on Sunday mornings, instead of waiting until Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern to watch it, then you can go to franchiseempire.com/newsletter in order to get that in your inbox for free every Sunday morning. Rahman, you can just leave that ticker running for the time being. All right, so our first note here before we dive into this this resale franchise, or this resale, it's not a franchise. The note in the newsletter was, hey, if you haven't noticed, something has changed, which is that we basically become more flexible in the way in which we work with clients. There was never like really an official announcement, and I don't know that I would declare this as an announcement either. But I just thought it'd be interesting to, announce it. I guess the way, Kevin, that I think of an announcement is like a big like deal about something, but I guess you can have an announcement that's just like, hey, by the way. Anyways, so just to give some history, when I first started this business, it was just me, a guy on YouTube making videos, had like no intention of becoming a franchise broker, consultant, or really helping people buy and acquire franchises. That wasn't the goal. I wanted to be I wanted to be a business coach and build a business coaching company and an online marketing business. That had been my dream for like the last 15 years, way before I got into franchising. And so, what happened was I created our zero to profitable franchise system. And if people wanted to join it, there was and still is an investment to join that system. And there's a bunch of things that you get, like a course, online modules, weekly calls with me, all sorts of stuff. But over the last 3 to 6 months, we've shifted the business model. And a lot of this has happened as, our work with, Kevin and Krista, and just as we've talked to more and more people, which is that, number one, we realized that we just need to be more flexible in our services. And everyone and their mom in the franchise space is like, oh, you can work with us at no cost. And so what we found is that we were missing out on opportunities to help some people. And the zero to profitable franchise system was just not for everyone. It's really designed for people that are, pretty serious about making a change. And I get it. There's a lot of times where maybe you're just on the fence of like, I don't know if franchising is really right for me. I don't know if I want to do this. So you kind of need to look at some opportunities. So That was a loud noise outside. I'm glad you guys couldn't hear that. Anyways, to put a cap on all this is that we're changing things a bit. So number one, as you've noticed, and you guys noticed it in here anyways, which is with the territory checks and resales, there's no charge for those things, right? Like you can have a call with Kevin and Krista, see what's available in your area, and kind of start the process. But we're going to be doing something different. We're actually going to start capping the amount of clients that we bring into our zero to profitable franchise system. And it serves a couple of purposes. Number one, to just protect the group, right? Like overall, in that group, we want serious people. We want serious people who are committed to the process, who this is an important change that they want to make in their life. They're serious about becoming a business owner. And it's not just kind of like a wishy-washy thing, right? And I get not everyone is in that place. That's fine. But that's who we want to have in that group. Part of that is because the group is pretty intimate. I mean, we have these weekly Zoom calls with me, with our clients that can come on, and typically we only have about like 15 people that come on. Some people think it's going to be like 100 people or 50 people. It's pretty intimate. We want to keep it intimate. We want to protect the integrity of the group. So, and we're like family. Everyone helps each other out. Some of the people have connected offline, online. So anyways, before we dive into the actual opportunities, if you want to learn more about, being considered for the zero to profitable franchise mastermind, because you do need to be approved by someone on our team to get in, to make sure that you can qualify and that you're the right fit, then instead of clicking here, because we're virtual, you can just go to franchiseempire.com, and then in the right-hand corner, there's a blue button that says schedule a free 15-minute call. And you'll be able to schedule a call with our team. And then we can just see like what point you in the right direction. And if it's not for the zero profitable franchise system, great. Maybe, we'll connect you with Kevin or Krista, and they'll just be able to see what franchises are available in your area if you kind of are dipping your toes in the water. And then maybe later on you join. So I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. Anything to add on that, Kevin?
I think if you're in the boat where you're a person that wants, a system, and you want additional support, and you want to be part of a community of other people going through it, and you're going to participate in all that, then ZTPF is the right path for you. But if that doesn't sound like something you want to commit your time and energy to, then it's probably not, right? That's, I think we want people in the community that are going to help participate in the conversations and join in and follow the system, because that's what it's built for. So that's the only thing I would add to that.
100%. Yeah, and as we dive into these opportunities, what we hear is that just the act of someone like making the investment to join the system, being in the community, the accountability, the support. We have folks that have been looking at franchises for like 2 years, 3 years, and they say the act of joining the system and just that decisive act of making an investment and the accountability just from the overall group has helped them a lot. So either way. Let's dive in. So we have this featured resale, Kevin, which is technically not a franchise, right? Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's an interesting opportunity. I guess you could call it just like a business opportunity, but it's called Sign World Business Partners. So they have about 350 independently owned businesses throughout the country that they support. So this system looks and feels a lot like a franchise. They have systems in place, they have support, you have a network of other owners, you have territories, all that. But the main difference is you don't pay ongoing royalties, and there's less, I guess, I don't know what the right term for is, but less requirements from the corporate on what you can do or what you cannot do with your business. Certainly, they have some limitations on like, these are the products and services we offer people, and let's not try to get outside from that. But even in terms of like what you name your business, it can be anything. It's not necessarily the Sign World name. You can name it, Kevin's Sign Manufacturing Company or whatever you wanted to call it, and which is kind of cool. So. Really kind of a unique model. This particular resale is available in Teaneck, New Jersey. It's the asking price is 375,000. I actually spoke with the sign roll guy, and he said it's very rare we have resales. Like their retention rate's pretty high among their owners. I just saw another resale came up across my radar today for Sign World. 26-year-old owner. Like he has a
Wow.
location for 26 years. He's retiring. So he said, this guy said it's just pretty rare that you see resales. But this one's it's been around for several years. I think the 2023 revenue was just over 1 million. The owner is pretty active in the business, so hypothetically, you would want to step in and be pretty full time in the business, to kind of assess where things at, how you can grow. They have 3 employees on staff. All the sign manufacturing equipment that you would need is already, is included in that asking price. They have a retail lease spot that you would, assume. So it's pretty well established. What's interesting about this business is you don't need a ton of customers to generate a lot of revenue. And I've actually learned this recently about a whole other industry, in-home senior care. It's a very similar model. I don't think you need a lot of customers to get a lot of revenue. But anyways, you need about 30 customers to generate approximately 80% of your revenue, according to Sign World, which isn't that bad. And a lot of your customers are repeat business. So think of like a business in your area that you do one sign for, and then they have some internal graphics that need to be made, maybe a wall graphic, whatever it may be. There's so many different applications for this business. And so you do need an owner that can do some B2B sales, get out and network in your community, get those referral relationships. But what I found interesting, I watched a webinar on this a couple months ago. They do get a decent amount of leads through like pay-per-click advertising that Sign World Marketing is going to do for you. So they say about 40% of your leads are going to be through like inbound leads that people are just Googling sign manufacturing companies, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's not
Interesting.
completely just like, cold calling or business development. There are some lead gen, methods that they use. So yeah, interesting business. I don't really know if this is going to go away, because it's like if you think about it, you'll start to notice as you drive down the street all the different signs that are, you get exposed to hundreds of signs as you drive through your city every day. So I don't really know how this would ever go away because you need somebody to physically create and manufacture those signs, and that's what Sign World does. But I'll pause there. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I don't know much about the brand overall, but I think it's interesting that it's not a franchise, and I guess that's probably one of the things that people don't know about kind of what we do and what you guys have access to through the inventory is there are some I guess from a legal standpoint they're called business opportunities in terms of how they're regulated. I guess some people would probably think of it maybe like a licensing opportunity, right? Technically, it's a licensing, I think. Is that
Yep.
the case?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, and to Kevin's point is that you can, in licensing opportunities, you can typically, the business name that's publicly facing, you can have it be whatever you want. You can have like your own logo, overall, which is pretty cool. So, to me, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Um, I think for someone who, because sometimes there definitely are people where it's like, a franchise system just may not obey it or follow it, or they may do better in an environment where they have a little bit more flexibility. So I think it's interesting, the fact that they have that many, independent owners of the business and that they last that long is pretty cool. And that specific niche and segment, I know because there are some other franchises in the space, and historically speaking, that there's some high ticket numbers in this business overall from I think what I've seen. Because you could potentially get, I mean, huge projects where you're like bidding on, government projects or just bidding on huge commercial developments where some of those signs could be 100, like 50 grand, 100 grand, more I think that's where some of the folks who do some of the really, really big numbers, they have a couple of those. But yeah, overall, I think for someone like someone who can go out there and sell and network, I think probably an ideal opportunity, right? Is that probably the ideal avatar for this?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Networking with, other business owners in your community and getting your name out there is going to be huge. But you're right. They're big ticket price items. Yeah. I think the only thing people sometimes have a hesitancy on is you do need somebody with I don't even know if manufacturing is the right word, but sign manufacturing experience, because it's kind of a technical thing to use the equipment
Mm,
and build these signs. So sign will actually help you, find and hire, that first person. But it's a lot like running one of the trades, like a HVAC company or plumber or something like that. You need like that first certified like master plumber to be on staff to do all the stuff. So that would be one of the, I would say, challenges with this one, but nothing that's like that, in my opinion, that big of a deal you couldn't, figure out.
yeah, cool. Well, if you guys are interested, number one, if you're in around the Teaneck, New Jersey area and you want to find out more about this specific resale and get introduced to it, you can go to franchiseempire.com/resales. On the other side of it, if you're just sitting there thinking, "Oh, that I would love to own an existing business or buy an existing franchise that's already producing revenue, that already has a team," then we have access to a whole inventory of resales. So you can still go to franchiseempire.com/resales. You'd be able to schedule a free 15-minute call, and the team can check to see if there's anything available in your area. Bada boom, bada bing. All right, client case study. Let's go. I'm gonna hide that. All right, so this is Krista, and I was just this was one of we got so behind on, we have so much content that we're editing, it's insane. Just in case you guys are wondering what it takes to put on this production and just all of the content we put out. We have 2 full-time video editors and a part-time video editor. It's absurd. We have a lot, and so this was just sitting in the bank of unedited footage for months, literally months. But I just finally went to watch it, and I was like, "Oh, this was this was interesting." So Krista had started some businesses before, but just never really followed through or gained much traction. So maybe you can relate to that. I know that was my story before franchising, and she joined our zero to profitable franchise system, and she said what she got the most value from the weekly group calls that we do with all of our clients. And what that looks like is it's a Zoom meeting with me basically, and any and all of our clients can hop on that Zoom meeting and ask questions, and answer each other's questions, which happens sometimes, or you get to just be a fly on the wall and listen to just what people are asking and what the answers are. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool way to kind of hack the buying process overall, personally. And so, even if you can't make them live, like Krista never really made any of them live, but she said she watched every single one of the recordings that we post in our private Facebook group. And so, yeah, you can check out her story if you're on the newsletter. You can click it, or you can go to franchiseempire.com /reviews to check it out, and you can just see a bunch of our clients and their video reviews of just their story, why they joined, what they were going through, kind of what motivated them, like what they thought was helpful. It's really not like a rah-rah about how great we are. It's really more about an insight into maybe someone that you can relate to that was able to make a change in their life. And maybe you relating to their story and their challenges and what they did, maybe that actually finally inspires you, the viewer, to actually take action or take a step. All right, on to our franchise of the week. Tell us about our franchise of the week, Kevin.
Yeah. So it's called Archidec. I actually just had a call with somebody we're working with. And speaking of, at the start of the newsletter here today, you talked about working with people in the non-CTPF capacity. Well, this is a guy who clicked on the resale link. I had met with him. He decided, just working purely in more of a broker capacity made sense for him. But he moved really quickly going through validation with a few franchises, and he's very interested in Architect for a number of reasons. I thought it could be a good fit for him. That's why I presented it to him. But interestingly, he was validating when he came to us with probably my favorite food franchise, and it just wasn't going to be a good fit for his income goals where he was at for a number of reasons. So I said I recommend looking at these type of franchises. Presented a few options to him. Anyway, so he's pretty confident he's going to go with Architect, but it's a great business model. So one, they've been around since 1980. So I love like seeing when people have been around, like companies have been around that long. They're part of Empower Brands, which owns a bunch of different outdoor living franchises. So they own like Conserva Irrigation, they own Superior Fence and Rail, Outdoor Lighting Perspectives, I believe. So really solid group of brands. But Architect specializes in outdoor living spaces. So like hardscapes, they don't do pools, but they do like, those overhangs, custom decks, screen porches, gazebos, all those types of things, fireplaces. So really kind of an interesting business concept. And the total investment for this is only between 120 and 139. So the reason it's so low is it's actually a subcontractor model. So a lot of that initial investment is the franchise fee, marketing, and your labor for the first 3 to 6 months. But you actually use subcontractors to do the work, and you manage them. And Architect has a team of CAD designers at corporate that after you meet with the homeowner the first time and you get an idea of their budget and what they're looking for, you send like a packet of information to these CAD designers, and they produce different like blueprints for you basically to
Oh,
present.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, to present to the homeowners. So, CAD is it's very difficult to learn. So they have those people on staff that's just built in as part of the royalty payment that you make to the franchise system, but you have that support. So pretty cool model. Especially, if you're interested in like higher ticket price projects, you're cool with like meeting with customers and giving that consultative approach, and then obviously managing those bigger projects from start to finish with subcontractors, it can be a great business. And the other reason I like it is it's pretty fast ramp up. So you go through training, you come back, they're going to start executing on marketing for you, you're going to get leads. But once you start to close, you get a couple projects, these can be bigger ticket prices. So you can hypothetically cash flow quicker than something that's like, like a plumbing business where you're going to do a lot of like projects, and it takes a while to build up that customer base. So that was one of the reasons I really like this for the guy I'm working with now, is just because of the fast ramp up. That's something he was looking for.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that definitely not going to happen with anything food related.
Oh no, I said it's going to be a year before you even open your doors. So I mean, it's just not, at this point in his life, just wasn't the right fit. Not to say he couldn't do that down the road, but at this point, definitely there were other opportunities that were far better, and this is one of them. But if you look at the FDD, I'm going to just look at that middle section, the single territory franchisees. So the top third are doing an average of 2.98 million, it looks like, in sales. The middle third are doing 1.16, and the bottom third around 560,000. So, pretty strong numbers in my opinion. Yeah, I can't really talk about like net percentages, but from what I've learned, they can be pretty good. So, you don't have a lot of people on payroll for this because you're using subs. So I think your margins are pretty good in this business.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is that I think this is one of those businesses where you can literally just kind of build in and price your margin, basically. Like whenever you're doing a job where you're kind of bidding a specific price, you like once you lock in and what your cost of goods is, and then you estimate what your labor cost is going to be with your subs. I mean, you can just build in a margin. So, I mean, if you're trying to hit a 25% net margin, I mean, I would imagine you'd probably want to target a little bit higher just in case it goes over with labor or something like that. And I think that's what's cool about this sort of business. I know my buddy who owns a bunch of budget blinds, he talks a lot about margin and not being the cheapest, and that, you know, basically they know their numbers so well, they price everything for margin.
Mhm. Well, and that's the beauty of being part of a franchise system too, is they're going to help with that pricing. You're not going to be on your own when it comes to that. So, when you're looking at a single territory AUV for, that's very high for a single territory franchise, in my opinion. If you go down to the multi-unit, I mean, it obviously gets even bigger, but the top half of their multi-unit owners are doing 3.67 million.
Yeah.
So to me, that's very impressive when you can do that kind of numbers just for a single unit, and then you could potentially add a territory in the future. The other thing you could do is you could add another one of their outdoor living brands in their portfolio, to complement it. So there's a lot of ways to grow in this one.
And this is where I started to get excited because like I'd never heard of this brand, right? I never heard of this brand until you guys dropped it in the newsletter. And, this is where I get excited in the sense about what we do and helping to educate people and avoid making a bad decision because, like, there could be someone watching right now where they're thinking, I want to own a food franchise and put out $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 to get this brick and mortar up and running. Where, you know, not that people don't make money in it, but I mean, you're talking about, okay, you get a brick and mortar franchise up and running, depending upon what the average sales are, it depends, but the financial opportunity is just so much greater. You're talking about a total investment of less than 150 grand
It's wild. Yeah.
and single unit owners. I mean, okay, like let's be fair, the lowest performing one does 234,000, but the highest one with one territory did 5.3 million dollars in sales. And the median is 1.15. The average in this group out of 27 franchisees, the average is 1.5 on less than $150,000 investment.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, it's a great business. Um, I mean, we actually, when my wife was looking into franchises, this was the second choice, this one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. The issue was we live in like the south half of the city, and that whole market was taken. And so we were kind
Mm,
of bummed about that. But yeah, so I know Erin, the development person, really well. She knows, so it's an impressive one. I mean, I think it does require a good mix of like being able to do consultative sales as well as manage projects, which, my wife and this guy I'm working with are perfect for that. But it's an awesome business. The other thing is like they give out huge territories. So a territory is around 600,000 population, which is usually that's like anywhere from double to triple the size of typical like home services territories. So
wow.
they have fewer franchisees. They want fewer franchisees, bigger territories. They want people that can build something and scale bigger businesses. So it's a great business.
That's awesome. All right, y'all. Well, after we didn't even hit on some of this, but some of it we pretty much. But real quick, let's see. As Kevin's going to go over that in just a second, but if you want to see if this franchise is available in your territory, because as Kevin just mentioned, the territory him and Amanda wanted was not available. So if you want to see if this is available in your area, then go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. We can see. Or if you just want to see, hey, what franchises are available in my area that match your skill sets and your budget, you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, be able to schedule a free call in order to check that out. But do you want to just quickly run through some of the ones that you didn't hit on?
Yeah, so I guess high ticket sales. The average contract price is 43,000 roughly, that's wild. Like I said, I
Wow.
mean, you get a couple projects early on, you get some big wins. I mean, it can. That's why I like this business. One of the reasons, large territories. part of that Empower Brands. Superior Fence is an awesome franchise. We've talked about that before. So is Outdoor Lighting. So is Conserva. The first franchise I ever helped somebody buy was Conserva years ago, and he's I think he's got like 15 employees now. He's pretty like 20 hours a week in it, so he's doing really well. So it's a solid group of franchises. No showroom, no office needed for this one, which is another perk. I mean, there's literally like no overhead because you don't buy any equipment. There's no showroom. A lot of that investment is just your working capital, like for that first year. So it's really like pretty reasonable investment in my opinion. And then no construction experience necessary. You rely on corporate to do those 3D renderings.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. Not gonna lie. And I think the other thing that's is, we've mentioned this and we've talked about it a lot if you watched any of these newsletters, but guys, right now no one's selling their house.
Yeah.
People are not selling because, you want to keep your 3% interest rate. So, even though some people might argue, hey, well, are we in a recession or this and that? I would actually say I still think these home services that do upgrades, I still think they're good opportunities. I really do. Because again, you have people that maybe were going to upgrade their house and move someplace else that did have, a gazebo or that did have an outdoor kitchen or did have and now they're not going to, and they're going, well, if we're going to stay here for another couple years, let's do some of these projects. And literally, Bridget and I just continue to have these conversations. We've got a couple of kind of decisions in limbo around things, but we were just talking about having this area by the side of our house that just the sun doesn't hit and the sprinklers go. So then it gets real muddy and the landscapers come in and they like trench these huge holes with the lawnmowers as they're getting in. So ironically enough, we have a sprinkler repair company like a Conserva coming out tomorrow to come cap those areas, cap the sprinklers. And they were like, maybe we should just hardscape that whole area and then, make it super easy. So, all things that are solved by or could be solved by franchise businesses. But if we weren't planning on staying in the house like another 6 months or a year, like was the original plan, we weren't going to do that. We weren't going to invest the money in those things. So I think it's just a realistic thing to think about over the next couple of years. So cool. Again, if you want to see what's available in your area, go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. And then last but not least, the last episode of the Franchise Empire Show, I did a podcast episode with a guy named Jeff Duden. He is a franchisor. He owns multiple different franchise concepts and brands, but he was on Undercover Boss, which was pretty cool. And he built a company called AdvantaClean, which is a restoration franchise. He built it from scratch. He just had a corporate. He built it from the ground up, the whole business, built it into this national monster, and then eventually sold that to the parent company of Budget Blinds, Home Franchise Concepts. So just an uber successful guy. I saw him speak at a conference and just a rock star, really. So to me, this was, just it's for you as the viewer, a cool opportunity to get inside the mind of someone who's just been ultra successful and that quite honestly doesn't need to work anymore, but still is. And so that was like one of the questions I asked him, like, why are you still working, man? Like, why not just retire and chill? So to me, like, these are one of my most exciting ones because I love talking to people that are just at a whole different level. And Jeff's really that guy. So if you want to check out that episode, you can go to the Franchise Empire Show YouTube channel. That's where we post the podcast episodes, or any place that you listen to and absorb your podcast via audio. Then we're on there as well. So that's a wrap for this week's newsletter. Kevin, thanks for two interesting ones. I was really intrigued by those two concepts. So shout out to Krista too, I know she came up with one of those.
No, she doesn't do anything, but all right. I'm just kidding.
All right. Y'all have a great rest of your week.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.